Hi guys, thank you for tuning in today. If this is your first time here, welcome. I appreciate your visit. My name is Sonia Siobhan, and I'm a certified life coach, and I specialize in domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, and oppression. And I am here to help you clarify your goals, to help identify the obstacles that are standing in your way and give you some helpful strategies and tools to help you overcome those obstacles so you can move forward. Like I mentioned, I am a certified life coach, but what qualifies me the most is that I have dealt with these very issues in my own personal life, and I have overcome them. And I will be sharing some helpful tools and strategies to help you do the same. Now, I just want to mention that this is a Christian-based channel, so a lot of my advice and encouragement will be based on Christian views and kingdom principles. So if that's not something that you resonate with or something that you can get with, then this may not be the platform you. However, I welcome everybody, and I encourage you to stick around, okay? So if you were here yesterday and and joined me, the topic was 5 traits that to recognize in a person for you to be able to tell whether or not you're dealing with a narcissist. So let's just go ahead and recap on what a narcissist is. Excuse me. A narcissist is a person that has a overinflated thought of self-importance. Somebody that thinks they're way more important than they actually are. That's what a narcissist is. And their main focus is to maintain power and control, to keep you oppressed and in bondage, to keep you questioning yourself and your own values, your own self-worth, and self-esteem. So the first thing you want to do is, when you're in a relationship, whatever kind of relationship it is, whether it's a romantic relationship or, just relationships in general, like friendships or co-workers or anything, you want to set boundaries with people. You want to give people specific boundaries on what you will tolerate in that particular relationship and what you won't tolerate. And don't bend, don't give in to anything, to any boundary that you have already set. Once you set that boundary, it's in stone. It's in stone, and you shouldn't let anybody question your boundaries or, display any disrespect towards your boundaries. If they're not respecting the boundaries that you have set in that relationship, then like I said in the previous video yesterday, throw up the deuces. Peace out and get on gone. So that is just a recap of some of the things that we talked about yesterday. So let's talk about clarifying your goals in a relationship. What is your goal in a relationship? What do you want to get out of a relationship? What are your expectations? What do you expect from the other person that you're in the relationship with? You need to be setting clear goals, and that kind of goes along with the boundaries. Set your goals, set your boundaries, set expectations, and don't fold. These are your goals, these are your boundaries, and this is what you expect out of a relationship, whatever kind of a relationship it is. And what my goals are may not necessarily be the goals that you set in a relationship. Everybody's goals are different. Everybody's expectations are different. You have to sit back and ask yourself what it is that you expect from a relationship, and what boundaries you have set in a relationship, and then you're gonna want to go ahead and communicate those goals and boundaries to your partner. And it should be a real conversation. And if they can't, if they don't, if you don't see them being able to meet your goals or your boundaries, then that may not be a relationship that you want to continue. All right. And once you clarify those goals, once you clarify what your goals are, then you need to identify any obstacles that may be standing in the way, that may be stopping you from meeting those goals or boundaries. So once you set your boundaries and you've had that specific conversation with your partner or whoever it is that you're in a relationship with, then you need to figure out if there's obstacles in the way that will stop you from meeting those particular goals. Like, for instance, if you set a goal to where, if you're in a romantic relationship with somebody and you set a goal that you want to be married in the next year, and you have that specific conversation with that said person, and they tell you that that's not something that they want, they're not even looking for marriage, and even if they were, it wouldn't be that soon, then that should tell you right away that this is not the person for me. I have to move on, because this is a goal that you set. This is something that you want, and don't let anybody talk you out of your goals or what it is that you want in the relationship. What you want is what you want, and you can find it. It may not be in that person, but there's plenty of fish in the sea. Chuck up the deuces and move on. And the third thing would be, how can you overcome the obstacle? Well, one way is, once you recognize that you guys aren't on the same page, overcoming that obstacle would be for you to move on. Now, there are some obstacles that you can face in a relationship that you guys can work out together and figure out how you can move forward. I hope I'm speaking loud enough, because I'm outside. It's a lot of traffic and it's loud out here. So if I'm yelling, I hope I'm not coming across like I'm yelling, but I am purposefully speaking loud so that you guys can hear me. But yeah, so you guys would just need to sit down and figure out what it is that you need to do to overcome the obstacles in whatever relationship that you're trying to perform with a particular person. A lot of times we settle for things in relationships out of fear, because out of fear that we ain't gonna be able to find nobody else, or out of fear that if I set my boundaries and goals, this person not gonna want me, they gonna reject me or whatever. Or rejection is a big thing. Nobody wants to be rejected. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody needs love. However, if your own self-worth, your self-importance, your own morals, values, views, and boundaries and goals are more important than the fear of being rejected. If somebody can't meet your goals and your boundaries, then rejection is inevitable anyway. It may not happen as in the beginning, which is what you're fearing anyway, but along the line, down the road in the relationship, if your needs aren't being met because the specific goals that you had in mind, or the boundaries that you placed, are being walked all over, then you're being rejected anyway, right? So just keep that in mind, and don't ever don't ever let nobody make you feel like your boundaries and your goals and your views, morals, and values aren't important, because they are, and they should always come first. They should always come first. You should never put nobody else's opinions and wants above your own. Okay. So and remember, once a narcissist, when you're in these relationships, because like I mentioned before, a narcissist is all about power and control. They want to control you. They want to control your every move. They want to control how you show up in the relationship, how you treat them, and they'll oftentimes, gaslight you and make you feel bad about specific things that they have actually caused. So, but once you start to recognize their tactics, which is some of the things that we talked about yesterday, then you can control, then you're in control, because then you have the power and control to switch up your response. Don't let them bait you or reel you into any of their controlling tactics by trying to gaslight you or manipulate you, or with lies and specific things, the things that narcissists do to just keep that grip on you, to keep that power and control over you. And once they realize that they can no longer control you, then they will try to control how other people see you. And that will come in the form of lies, manipulation, rumors, believe it or not, these narcissists will stoop to the lowest of the lows to get people on their side. They will lie. They will completely make things up. They will manipulate those around them. And, even when their lies start to unfold and they start to get exposed, they will just make up another lie to cover that lie. They'll make up another lie to cover that lie. And it's an endless cycle. Like, it'll just go on and on and on. And a lot of these narcissists can become dangerous because once they see that they can no longer control you, which is kind of what I spoke of yesterday, once they see that they can no longer control you and you've exited yourself from their lives, now it has gone from power and control to stalking, to being obsessed, to even trying to take your life in some cases. And those are the extreme cases, but don't ever rule that out, because a narcissist, by all means, wants to keep people believing in their lives, and they will take any measures to keep the lie going, to keep the manipulation going, and which will oftentimes lead to them trying to plot your death. And this is just not something that I'm just saying just because like, this actually happened to me. This is something that I've actually lived through, and for whatever reason, this particular person wanted to paint a narrative of me that wasn't true. And because I was no longer willing to be manipulated and controlled and exited myself from the particular situation, then, they wanted to paint a narrative of me that was completely false, untrue, and even tried to plot my death, but God was never going to let that happen. I am a child of God, and He was never ever going to let somebody come in and just totally take me out. He was never ever going to let that happen. And so don't ever underestimate the lengths that a narcissist will go to keep their grip on you, to keep the narrative that they've spent to people alive. They will go to great lengths to keep their lie going. So just be careful and be aware of once you've identified that you are dealing with a narcissist, then you need to start making an exit plan. You need to start making an exit plan and remove yourself from the situation, because they have played games with you throughout the entire relationship. A lot of narcissists play games like not only with like the gaslighting and the manipulation. They'll give you the silent treatment and try to ghost you, because it's all a tactic of power and control, because they want you to feel like you've done something wrong to where now you're questioning yourself, like, well, what did I do? And which oftentimes will lead you to calling them and trying to figure out, wanting to talk and trying to figure out what is it that you did, and then that's when the ghosting will come in, and they'll completely ignore you and give you the silent treatment, which is all manipulation tactics. It's all manipulation tactics to keep them in control, because in all reality, they are the insecure ones. They have the insecure feelings within themselves, and so this is how they use all of this stuff to manipulate you to make themselves feel better, to somehow put themselves on a pedestal, because now you're calling and you're crying over them, and you're texting, you're trying to figure out what it is, and they're ignoring, and they're ghosting, and completely just giving you the silent treatment, and whole time you thinking it's something you did, but he deep down, you know you didn't do nothing, and he know you didn't do nothing, but that's his power and control tactic. Okay, so and I'm not only speaking to females here, there's also women narcissists as well. And I know that there are some men out there that can resonate with what I'm saying here, because I know that you've run across a narcissist woman. It's a lot of women out here that display these same tactics in their relationships. So don't get it twisted into thinking that it can only be a man that displays narcissist tendencies, because that is not true. So now that you know some of all of these things, and you've kind of figured them out, and now you know how to play your hand when dealing with a narcissist, now you need to figure out whether or not you're ready to leave. Because if you're ready to leave, then now we gonna move on to some ways, and some ways that you can leave safely, because like I said, dealing with a narcissist can become dangerous at times. So you want to make sure that you're moving right, that you're not, doing stuff all willy-nilly, and that you're being careful, and every single one of your steps is carefully planned and well thought out. Not only for your safety, but if there's children involved, you want to make sure that you're doing everything that you can do to keep yourself safe and your children safe, and those around you safe too, because a narcissist will often play on family members as well. They will try to get close to your family members, and so they can spin whatever narrative to your family members, and have your family members looking at you sideways, questioning something you've done, when all reality it was never you, it was always that person. So be aware of that too. And a lot of times they will try to alienate you from your family and your friends. So if you see that happening, that's a number one red flag. If you feel that your partner is trying to alienate you from your friends and family, then that's a real problem. That's a real problem, because if somebody truly loves you for who you are and for what you are and for everything that you're bringing to the relationship, then they should have no problem with you having relationships with your friends and with your family. Friends and family is a plus in a relationship, actually, because that's a package deal. All of that comes along with you when you enter into a relationship. So that should never be a problem for your significant other having a relationship with your family and friends. And if you see that, that is a huge red flag. Exit. Deuces. Okay? So I'm going to give you some helpful hints and strategies and tools on how to leave a relationship and stay away. Number one rule, no contact. Once you've made up your mind that you want out and you're ready to leave, and that's it, there's nothing else that they can say, it ain't nothing else, they can do to keep you in the relationship and you ready to go, cut off all contact. And when I say cut off all contact, that could mean you changing your phone number. That could mean you letting go of some mutual friends that were not only friends with you, but their friend as well. So now I'm not telling you to cut off your family, your friends and family that you had previous before him. If those were your friends and if that's your family, by all means continue those relationships. I'm talking about the relationships that were formed while you guys were in a relationship and became mutual friends of the both of you. Cut them off, because that narcissist will use those people to get to you. Okay? And then you're going to want to inform your family and friends as to what is going on in your life, and give them do's and don'ts on what they can do as far as being in contact with this particular person. Because if you're trying to stay away from this person, then your friends and your family should also be doing the same. There should be no contact with that person whatsoever. If you live with the person, if you have to, you may have to change your locks. If this is your place, your house, your dwelling, and you've successfully managed to get them to leave your house, the first thing you're going to want to do is change your locks so they no longer have access. Change any lock, the garage door locks, if he had a garage door opener, you need to confiscate that or completely change it altogether. If this person is living in your house and you've been asking him or her to leave, and they just simply won't leave, one day they will have to leave the house. That's your opportunity to go ahead and change those locks. Okay? You may have to do it behind their back. It is what it is. If you want out, then that's what you're gonna have to do. In extreme situations, you may have to move. And these are things that I'm telling you because these are things that I had to do in a particular relationship to be able to set myself free and my children free from an abusive relationship. Not only did I have to change phone numbers and change my locks, I had to literally move. And I'm not talking about just move on the other side of town. I had to leave the state in order to free myself from this particular situation, because there was no end to the lengths that they would go to stalk, harass me, abuse me, or whatever. In their mind, I was theirs, and there was no end to the relationship. I was even told, don't tell nobody that you broke up with me. Typical narcissist dialogue. Okay, so once you've cut off all contact, you've changed your phone number, you change your locks, you may have to move. You don't give them any more chances. Once you've made your mind up, that is in stone. Do not give in. Do not give in, because like I said yesterday in yesterday's video, a narcissist is not going to change. So no matter how many flowers they bring to you, no matter how many apologies they give you or gifts that they give you, or even if they show you a little bit of change, it's not going to last. They are not going to change. They are who they are. Believe it. Okay? If there are children involved, now it gets a little sticky when there's children involved, because a lot of times you want to do the right thing and still allow this person to see their kids, which is perfectly fine if they know how to act. But if they're using the kids as a tool to get to you, then you're going to have to cut off all contact. You're going to have to cut off all contact. And when I say all contact, I mean all contact, which means you're going to have to take it a step further. You're going to have to go to the school and tell the officials at the school that this person no longer has access to pick the kids up. Because in my particular situation, that was one way that he would try to gain access to me, by hurry up and going to pick the kids up from school. Then, I don't have no choice but to have contact with him, because I got to come get the kids or he got to drop the kids off. And now, it's a whole knockdown, drag out. You got to cut it off all the way. So that means you're going to have to go to the school and tell them that that this person is no longer on the pickup list. Remove him or her from the pickup list. And in extreme cases, which was one of the things that I had to do, you may have to go ahead and file for sole custody. So what a lot of people don't know is when you have children with somebody that you both have, it's joint custody. It's automatically joint custody. No one parent has more authority than the other. And in order for you to gain that authority, you have to actually go and file for custody. And in situations where, in domestic violence situations and stuff like that, there are specific laws and statutes that will allow you to get emergency temporary custody for the safety of you and your children. So that is something that you may have to do. You may have to do that. Switch up your routine. Switch up your routine. If he already knew your routine, if he knew, that you do this at a specific time every day, like go to the gym at a specific time every day or every day of the week, you may have to switch that up, because trust and believe he will be there. He'll be there waiting for you. He'll be doing pop-ups. He'll be try to humiliate you in public and all types of stuff. So switch your routine up. You are gonna want to cut them off from all social media access. Block them. Now, there are ways for them to gain access, but if you're going through a situation to where you're trying to exit yourself out of a volatile situation, then I would suggest that don't accept any new friends on your social media platforms for the time being, because once you block them, 9 times out of 10, they're going to try to come with fake accounts and to gain access to be able to watch you and stalk you and obsess over you. So unless you social media is your job, like this is what you do for a living, then other than that, I would suggest you not accept any new friends on your social media platforms. So don't give them the opportunity to spy on you through social media. Change your email passwords if they had access to that. You may have to get a new email. You may have to change your bank accounts, your account numbers, routing numbers, and things of that sort if they had access to that. It just all depends on how close of a relationship that you had with this particular person. Get rid of all toxic people. Get rid of all toxic people that, and that goes along with the mutual friend thing. You're going to have to get rid of some of these people. You're going to have to cut them off. Make sure you're keeping all of your doors and your windows locked so that they have no access. Make sure that, if you have an attached garage to your house, that garage is always kept closed and locked. Don't leave no windows open. Always make sure that they're locked. You may have to go get your restraining order. You may have to get a restraining order in place. Don't be afraid to call the police. A lot of people don't like calling the police because they feel like they're being a snitch. Well, that's what they're there for. And they can protect you and your children. In the time being, you may have to go ahead and file that restraining order and get some stuff in black and white on paper. So, when the stuff does hit the fan, you got something right here in black and white that says, well, you got a track record to go by, because there is going to come a time, depending on how volatile the situation gets for you in particular, there's going to come a time where you're going to have to put this person in jail. You're going to have to. And, you're going to have a track record of what they've been doing to you and the things, all the stress and stuff that they've put on you and all the times that you've called the police, the restraining order that you put in place. You're going to have to take that to court to keep them in jail. Like I said, it all depends on how volatile the situation got. If there was physical abuse, if there was threats to your life and things of that sort, then I would suggest that you do not hesitate to have them arrested and put in jail, and don't drop the charges. Do not drop the charges, and follow up every time that there's a court case. Show up and have your evidence right there, so that will keep them in jail, because a lot of times once you've made that move, then the situation usually gets a little bit more hostile. Once you put them in jail, and now if they're released, they coming harder this time. They really gonna come for you, and it could end fatally. So don't play. Don't think, just because there was once love there, that this person won't hesitate to take your life, okay, or attempt to, because they will. Keep a list of confrontations, of stalking, the times that they popped up on you at your job or at the grocery store, harassed you while you were in the store, or keep a record of all of this stuff, because all of these things will come into play if there's ever a time when you'll have to go to court. Create a recovery plan. Create a plan on how you plan to get over the abuse. You may have to get counseling. You may have to, seek some professional help in order for you to get over it. A lot of times you'll have to get counseling and things for your kids, if you can afford it. And there are options out there that provide free counseling. So don't, be afraid to reach out to that, because, this stuff it puts a lot of emotional stress, not only on you, but on your children as well. So you have to keep that in mind. A lot of times you will have to reach out to a counselor and get counseling for your kids. And learn to trust yourself. Learn to trust yourself, regain your self-esteem and your self-worth. And because a lot of times when you're going through these situations, you will start, to down yourself and to downplay your worth and your self-esteem. But getting into some type of counseling or talking to somebody, whether it's a pastor or, coming on YouTube, watching these videos, interacting, get a life coach, all of these things can be helpful when you're dealing with abuse in a relationship. Go off the grid. You're going to have to go off the grid and just be completely unavailable to those that you don't want to be available to. And all of that comes along with, changing your phone number. You may have to delete your social medias for a little while. You may have to move. All of these things that I spoke about previously can go under, the umbrella of going off the grid. Don't be afraid to reach out, for help, for therapy or counseling. It ain't nothing wrong with you. This is a normal emotion, a normal thing. This causes stress on a person when they're in an abusive relationship or trying to exit one. So don't be afraid to reach out for help. It ain't nothing wrong with you. It ain't nothing wrong with you. Don't be in denial about the trauma. Face it, because trauma is real, and no matter how strong of a person you think you are, it will show up in other areas of your life at a later time when you least expect it. So you got to deal with it and try to get some help for it. You may have to move into a shelter if you're living with someone and this is their house, and don't be afraid. Don't let fear stop you from setting yourself free. You may have to go to a shelter, and I know nobody want to live in no shelter, but a lot of times, if that is a move that you have to make, some of these shelters will help you get back on your feet. They'll help you get an apartment and a job, and a steady income. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to reach out to a shelter, because a lot of times that can be a blessing in disguise. And sometimes you got to lose to win. Simple. Try to reconnect with family and friends, those are the ones that they have alienated you from. Try to reconnect with those people and give them the real narrative of what really went down and what happened, and so that they're no longer living off this false narrative that this abusive person have given them. Yeah, guys, and those are just some of the ways, some of the tools that you can use in order to remove yourself from these toxic situations. But once you've made your mind up, the number one rule is don't go back. Okay? And then all of these other things will fall underneath it. But, yeah, like this is serious. This is a serious situation. And a lot of times people downplay just how serious and how scary that these things can get. I've said before that I've gone through a lot of these things that I've spoken about. Not only did I have to implement them in my life and in my children's life when I was going through it, but my life was an attempt on my life in a couple of relationships, after dealing with narcissists That's why it's so important for you to be able to recognize when you are dealing with a narcissist and recognize it quick. That's why I tried to give you some recognizable traits that once you recognize it, exit, exit, exit as soon as you recognize it. Don't even let the relationship form into something else. Usually a narcissist, they are who they are, so they can't help themselves. They're going to display their narcissist tendencies fairly quickly, fairly early in the relationship. Once you see it, leave. Leave. Do not hang around. My problem was I didn't recognize the traits. I don't even think that I knew what narcissist traits tendencies were. I didn't know. So recognizing them was not even on my radar. So I continued to involve myself with narcissist people and continue to get involved in relationships with people that were narcissists. There are people in my family members that are narcissists. And you can't necessarily exit someone from your family, but you can choose not to have a relationship with them. So, there were relationships that I involved myself in. I knew something wasn't right. Like, I knew it was something, but I couldn't put my finger on it, and I knew that it was some toxicity involved, but because of my own insecurities and my own devaluing my own self-worth and having low self-esteem at times, I continued in the relationship just for the sake of having a relationship or being involved with somebody, and that's absolutely ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. That's why you have to know your importance. You have to know your own self-worth and value, and remove yourself from these situations as quickly as possible. Don't even let it fester into a point to where you've developed feelings for this person, because then it would make it that much harder for you to exit. Okay? So that's where I'm going to leave you guys today. If you are a person that is in an abusive relationship, because that's what a narcissist is, they're abusive. If you are in an abusive relationship, I hope some of these things that I've shared with you today resonates, somewhere deep in your heart, and that you start to take the steps to be able to remove yourself from these situations. Talk to somebody. Don't be afraid to speak up, because that very person that you reach out to may be the person that can help you the most. So that's where I'm going to leave you today. I will be back tomorrow, and we will continue this conversation about narcissists, and we're going to dive deeper into the different levels of narcissists, and so you can identify what particular narcissist you're dealing with. And that's where I'm going to leave you guys today. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your day.